The worst thing you can ever do to a narcissist is reject them. Rejection to a narcissist is not just a no, it is the one moment that rips their mask off and forces them to face the truth they spend their entire life running from. That without control, without an audience, without you feeding their illusion, they are nothing. And once that spell is broken, their downfall begins. They do not just get sad, they unravel, they decay, they haunt themselves with your absence for the rest of their life. Because rejection does not just hurt a narcissist, it dismantles their entire illusion of being godlike. To you, it may look like a breakup. To them, it is soul death. In that single moment, they realize they are not eternal or worshipped. Of course, not special, they're ordinary, unwanted, and replaceable. That realization is unbearable and it throws them into a spiral of misery they will never escape. Narcissists can tolerate many things but not rejection. Because when you reject them, you do not just walk away, you prove them wrong. You show them they are not as powerful as they believed, not as irreplaceable as they claimed, and not as perfect as they pretended. And that is why rejection haunts a narcissist forever. It strips them of control, it collapses their identity, it forces them to face their worthlessness, and it brands them with the scar they will carry until their last breath. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. The topic for today is 5 miserable stages a narcissist goes through after you reject them. Before we get started, a quick reminder, I'm very soon doing a masterclass on master co-parenting with a narcissist. It's happening on 2 days. If you want to join, click the link in the description of this episode. Stage 1, the shock of irrelevance. Rejection does not just bruise a narcissist's ego, it dismantles their godhood. They live with a false belief that they are above human rules, chosen, almost immortal in their own twisted sense of self. When you reject them, you take a hammer to their delusion. Suddenly, the God sees themselves as human, flawed, and unwanted. The shock is the first cut, and it goes deeper than you may think. For years, they have conditioned themselves to believe people orbit around them, your life decisions, your self worth. They thought all of it revolved around their approval. When you break away, you do not just leave them, you expose the lie they have been feeding themselves, which is that they can never be abandoned. What makes this stage unbearable is the sheer disbelief. They keep asking themselves, how could someone like you leave me? And the reason they phrase it that way is because they always saw you as beneath them. They convinced themselves your kindness was weakness, your loyalty was stupidity, and your silence was proof of submission. They never expected that same weak person to rise up and walk away. This is why the shock feels like death. They suddenly realize you are stronger than they are. They realize you have the courage to live without them while they cannot even survive without you. This imbalance terrifies them. The narcissist does not process rejection like normal people do. They do not think this hurts, but I'll heal. They think this cannot be happening. My reality is collapsing. In this moment, you become proof that they are not untouchable, irreplaceable, or divine. You expose the biggest truth they cannot live with. They are ordinary like the rest of us. Stage number 2, the rage of entitlement. Once the shock settles, rage comes boiling up. This is beyond anger. They genuinely believe they are owed your loyalty, attention, and submission. In their mind, rejection is not a choice you made, it is a crime you committed. That is why their rage feels volcanic. They stalk you silently, scroll through your posts, reread old texts, and replay old conversations. Why? Because they are desperate to find proof that you still need them. Every unanswered text, every silent day, every glimpse of you moving on adds fuel to their fury. Their thoughts spiral. How dare they leave me? How dare he or she find happiness without me? They will regret this. That's what they think. They will never find anyone better. The same old thing. These are not just empty words. They repeat them like a mantra, trying to inflate their shrinking ego. But no matter how much they say it, reality keeps proving them wrong. The rage swells, then collapses, and they are left emptier each time. This is when they try to pull you back with guilt trips, sudden love bombing, or calculated smears. They want you confused and shaken because your clarity is the thing destroying them actively. Nothing scares a narcissist more than the thought of you being loved by someone else who treats you right. Stage number three, they give a big yet hollow grand performance. This stage is where the mask gets theatrical. The narcissist starts performing their misery in public. They make cryptic posts, drop hints of heartbreak, or suddenly flaunt a new partner as if to prove they're fine. But none of this is about healing. As I've said before, it's a desperate performance to pull your eyes back onto them. Misery becomes theater. They want to force you into feeling guilty, into thinking maybe I was too harsh or maybe I hurt them. But what they do not realize is the act itself is proof of their emptiness. Every post or exaggerated sob story is a cry for extreme attention. What eats them alive is when you do not respond the way you used to. You do not react. This theater turns into humiliation. The applause never comes, and they realize they are no longer the star on your stage. That humiliation is acid to their soul. It is one thing to be rejected in private, but to be ignored in public makes them feel like they have been stripped naked in front of the world. At this stage, they try everything to impact you. They sense your energy, feel whether you crave them or not. When they sense you do not, they feel discarded and unworthy. Stage number four, the deep collapse happens. The mask fully cracks. A narcissist without control is a narcissist without identity. There, I said it. When you reject them, they do not just lose you, they lose the mirror that was reflecting back their false greatness. Without you, they're forced to stare into the abyss of who they really are, and it's nothing. This is where self contempt sets in. They despise themselves but cannot admit it, so they spiral into reckless behaviors, addictions, risky sexual pursuits, gambling, overspending, and compulsive work. These are not acts of power, they are frantic distractions. They are running from the black hole inside them. The tragedy is that even they know it. They know they're falling apart, but instead of seeking help, they double down on denial. They lose patience. Their plans backfire and their reputation crumbles. They expose themselves through desperate mistakes. People around them start to see the cracks. The pro player they once pretended to be now looks foolish, unstable, and small. This stage is not explosive like the rage one. It's suffocating. It's the slow decay of a person who has nothing left inside. And they know it is only getting worse, which is what leads us to stage number five. The eternal haunting begins. This is the most chilling one. Narcissists never truly recover from true rejection. You become the ghost they can't get rid of. Even years later, even in new relationships with new supply, you haunt them badly. In public, they may smear your name, but in private, you are the voice in their head reminding them they were once denied. That denial is something their fragile ego cannot process. It becomes a scar that never heals. They replay your absence like a broken record. At night, in silence, in the middle of fake laughter with their new partner, you come back to them. Why? Because you remind them of their greatest defeat. You remind them of their mortality, their ordinariness, and their replaceability. This haunting follows them for life. Even on their deathbed, I'm saying, there won't be a day when they won't think of you. Because in rejecting them, you branded them with the truth they spent their entire life avoiding. And the truth is unbearable. Without control or supply, without you, they are nothing at all. Which brings us to the conclusion. When you reject a narcissist, understand, remember what you have done. You did not just walk away from a toxic relationship, you shattered the illusion they built their entire existence on. You broke their spell, proved them wrong in the way they can never forget. And the rejection does not just hurt them for a season, it haunts them for a lifetime. That's what I had to say for today. Thank you so much for listening. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.